Let's talk tax cuts because that's what's happening in Parliament right now. For most, it's an extra $15 a week from July. It just doesn't seem like enough, Prime Minister. Are you aware of just how tough people are doing it at the moment?
I am. That's why we've been prepared to act, Laura. If you're a mum and dad working, earning $130,000 a year combined, which is an average which is out there, then instead of getting $1,000, you'll get $2,600, a $1,600 increase in your pocket, which will make a difference. If you were on under $45,000 under the former Liberal scheme, you would have got not a single dollar. And people will get assistance now. They will get a tax cut, every single one of the 13.6 million taxpayers, and average workers will get double what they were going to get. So combined with the fact of increased wages that we've seen, increased real wages last year in 2023, much earlier than what was anticipated. We want people to earn more and we want people to keep more of what they earn, and that is exactly what this legislation will do.
Well, if you earn $45,000 a year, you pay little tax. It's about $4,000 a year. Those same people, Prime Minister, are still waiting for $275 off their power bills. Is that going to happen, yes or no?
Well, what you'll get as well is our energy price relief plan has made a substantial difference, not just to people's bills by lowering them,
but importantly
putting that downward pressure on inflation. We know that there's been an impact of global energy prices. We live in a global community.
The Ukraine war started.
Laura, no one was predicting, perhaps you on Sky were, I didn't see any predictions 2 years ago, that the Ukraine war would still be going. That wasn't the case, and all of the intelligence briefings, that wasn't the case either. What we've seen is a global impact on inflation. We have the UK and the Japanese economy are in recession right now. We saw inflation reach double digit in the UK. There's no country you'd rather be in than Australia, even though we're not immune from these global impacts. We have real wages increasing. We have these tax cuts coming through. We have inflation heading in the right direction. We have productivity increasing at the end of last year. We have cheaper childcare, reducing average childcare costs of 11%, cheaper medicines at a cost to the budget of $300 million. We have these measures in place because we understand that low and middle income earners in particular are doing it tough. That's why we made not the easy decision, but the right decision to intervene and to change the tax cuts, to change our position so that we were delivering in response to the pressure that we know families are under.
But PM, you point to all of this data, but what you're talking about and what people are living, I think, are very different. They're paying more for electricity, more for rent, more for groceries at the moment, more for petrol. Now, you cannot even afford to buy a home in one of Australia's major cities if you're on $180K a year. And those same people earning that amount, you've just branded rich enough to take $4,000 off them a year.
I haven't said that at all, Laura. You just used a term that I've never used for someone on that income.
Okay,
at all.
So if I could put it like this, PM, you're saying that they're not, they don't need it as much.
What we did, Laura, was to actually increase that top rate from 180 to 190,000. The first time anyone has increased that rate since 2008. No,
hang on, it was legislated to be 200,000.
Labor was in government in 2008.
It was legislated to be 200,000 though. You know that.
Well,
come on, that's
every single senator voted for the change that was made last night, and they made it so that we made a difference. Look, when the former government came into office in 2014, what they did was increase the top rate by putting in a so-called deficit levy aimed at those higher income earners something that they did without talking about before the election, something that they brought in contrary to what they said they would do at the same time as they were making cuts to health and education and services. What we've done is a responsible thing, and at the same time, one of the reasons why we've been able to do this is because we've delivered the first budget surplus in 15 years.
Exactly. So if you say you're doing everything about cost of living and trying to help people out, why don't you cut the petrol excise?
What we're doing is taking the best advice on how we can make a difference without putting pressure on inflation. So when we made the changes to the tax cuts, the previous arrangements were going to cost $106 billion over the 4 years. Our tax cuts cost $107 billion over the forward estimates, so that we're making these changes, putting dollars in people's pockets who really need it, low and middle income earners. We are aiming this fairly and squarely at middle Australia and doing it in a way that will continue to put that downward pressure on inflation. So that's why, of all the measures that could be considered, this was overwhelmingly the right thing to do, which is why we put it forward. I do note that the opposition, first they said they'd fight it, then they said they'd roll it back, then they said we should have an election on it, then they said that they'd actually vote for it, but they continue to criticise it. And this morning, the Shadow Minister, Jane Hume, went out there and said they'd start all over again.
Oh, she didn't say that on this program.
We think this is the right thing to do.
Okay.
No, she was on Sunrise. There's other programs around, and she was out there saying that. But they've had a different position. Every day they have had a different position on this, but it's the right thing to do.
Well, there you have it. You shouldn't watch those other programs. You should just watch this one. But look, talking about tax cuts, you've changed.
I'm very pleased
cuts.
to be speaking with you, Laura.
I'm pleased that you're here too. But look, you've changed tax cuts after saying that you wouldn't. You're unable to keep that promise because of circumstances to bring down electricity prices. The housing target looks like a pipe dream at the moment, Prime Minister. There's a pattern here, isn't there?
There's a pattern of us doing the right thing by Australians. The right
but
thing.
Not being able to keep your word.
Laura, something that we did not say we would do is to put a cap on coal and gas prices. We intervened because of the extraordinary circumstances which were there. We took an extraordinary policy decision because it was the right thing to do. And guess what? That was opposed by the coalition. They opposed billions of dollars in relief for working people when it came to energy prices. We did that. We've been prepared to make not just the easy decisions, to make the right decisions based upon what we were facing in order to deliver. And when it comes to housing, we have legislation before the Senate, or it's before the reps, but it will be before the Senate soon, to assist people to buy their own home. Now, this was Greens Party policy at the last election, but they're opposing it. The Coalition have opposed everything. They opposed the increased social housing expenditure. We've provided the largest increase in rental support in 30 years. We've been prepared to engage with states and territories through our housing accord because we recognise that housing supply is the key.